Good evening, and welcome to this week's Black Mental Health is Black Health. I'm your host, Bronwyn Lucas, and I'm here to inform you, talk to you about some things that impact our mental health. And I like to say that everything we think and do impacts our mental health. We'll talk about that tonight. If you've never been with me before, you don't know about our deep breathing. We start every show with 3 or 4 deep breaths. Why? Deep breathing allows you to take more oxygen into your body. It allows you to let it get in your brain and your body and relax your mind, body, and spirit. It's something you can do anytime on your own. When you're feeling a little stressed, when you're feeling a little out of place, just take some deep breaths, stop and refocus for a moment. So, this is our time to practice. If you've never done it with us before, I want you to put your hands lightly on your stomach. And as you breathe in, you are going to feel your stomach expand. That's how you know you're really breathing in deeply. We typically think we're taking deep breaths when we're just breathing right here to our chest. We're going to take that breath in so deep, it will go all the way to our stomach. I'm going to count to 4 slowly, and I'll say breathe in and count to 4. And then I'm going to tell you to hold it for 4 and then breathe out for 4. And we'll do this 4 times. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4. In, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4. In, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4. I forgot to hold that one. One more. In, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4. How did that feel? Were you able to just breathe for a moment? If so, that's a good thing. And as I said, it's something you can do on your own anytime. When you're driving in traffic and getting on your nerve, better to take a few deep breaths than to have road rage. If somebody else on the road is having road rage, you don't have to join them. Take a few deep breaths. Last week, I told you that we were going to start every week, not just in Black History Month, but every week with a Black fact. Something out of Black history, something may be current, but something to teach us. And I want some of our facts just to be fun. So this week's Black fact is all about Lonnie Johnson. Lonnie Johnson is the engineer and entrepreneur who invented the Super Soaker and the Nerf gun. Didn't think a brother did that. Many people know, but many don't. Johnson's longtime research focused on energy and technology, but he's really known for the super soaker in the world. In the science world, he's very well known. He was inducted into a Science Hall of Fame in Alabama. I wanted to highlight that because it's just something fun. We are not a monolithic people who just do one thing. We do everything. As a people, we have an impact on the world. So, Lottie Johnson, inventor of the Super Soaker. That Super Soaker is one of the best-selling toys, and over its history, it has generated $1 billion in sales. The Super Soaker. Our Black fact for today, Lonnie Johnson. I want to encourage you to hit the share button if you're watching this on Facebook so more can see the show. So tonight's topic is mental hygiene. What in the world is mental hygiene, and how did I come up with that topic? Well, I wanted to take a moment to share how I do come up with the topics for the show in general. I like to focus on each month, or every so often there is a different awareness month, and we address whatever the awareness is for that month over the course of the month. I get ideas from friends and viewers about, you should research this and talk about it, and I do. And I like to have guests. And this week, my guest was not feeling well. So we postponed it. I don't cancel a guest just because you're sick. We just put it off till you're feeling better. And good wishes to my guest, Latanya Floyd, hoping you're feeling better. And we'll have her on hopefully next week. So at the last minute, I had to switch. And I wanted to talk about mental hygiene because that's just looking at our mental, another way to address our mental hygiene. Let me give you a definition of mental hygiene. It is the science of maintaining mental health and preventing disorders to help people function at their full mental potential. It includes all measures taken to promote and preserve mental health, rehabilitation of the mentally disturbed, prevention of mental illness, and aid in coping in a stressful world. Ooh, that's a mouthful. Another definition, according to the World Health Organization, is it means you're in a state of mental well being when you feel good and function well in the world. Good mental health is when you can cope with the normal stresses of life, work productivity, and realize your potential. Now, that's a lot. Mental hygiene includes all measures taken to promote and preserve mental health. So, just like you have physical hygiene, you take care of your body, keeping it clean. If you don't, you will have health issues. If you don't take care of your mental health, your mental hygiene, you will have issues. There's an African proverb that says, at the end of the day, you can focus on what's tearing you apart, or you can focus on what's keeping you together. I'm going to repeat that because we're going to come back to that throughout the night. At the end of the day, you can focus on what's tearing you apart, or you can focus on what's keeping you together. Hmm. So I gave you a very wordy definition of mental hygiene. And it's a little more than just self care. And I'm not knocking self care because I've done more than one show about self care. Self care includes, taking care of your mental, physical, spiritual. It's all there. Mental hygiene, we are focusing on the mental well being. Now, if you've heard me speak anytime, anywhere before, you know I believe that mental, physical, and spiritual are inseparable. You impact one, you impact the other. And as we talk about mental hygiene, we're going to get to how that all relates. So we can't separate them. They're all together, they're all one, but we're focusing on the mental aspect tonight. You know, being African American, being Black in America, just being melanated in America can cause some mental health issues. We are faced with racism, that systemic racism, years of racism that existed in the past, exists now, and has existed since the colonization of America. That is enough to cause some mental health issues. Um, those are mental health issues that we must deal with daily. Racism is a big part of our um, mental illness that we can face just being Black in America. And as we face that, we face some common challenges. So let's look at some things that might impact our mental hygiene. Um, we should recognize and acknowledge that there are things that cause stress in our life that are related to racism. I want to look at some of those. Well, first, just let's look at some of the symptoms that your mental hygiene needs some care. Are you becoming more short tempered with people? Are you interacting with people less than normal because everybody's getting on your nerves, or you're more anxious and worried about being around people? Are you just annoyed by people? Have you started to use substances like alcohol, drugs, or smoking, or things to make you feel better um, that really aren't healthy for you? Do you feel like people aren't understanding you? You're just not communicating well, or you don't understand them? Do you find it more difficult to just stop and relax? Are you crying more, sad more, worrying more? Are you avoiding activities that allow you to get out and hang out with friends because it's just too stressful? Are you seeing changes in your physical health? Maybe more headaches or stomach aches? Are you more emotional than usual? Do you want to isolate? Is life not being as much fun as it had been? You're just apathetic, depressed, anxious, fearful, or just confused. These are some of the stressors you might find in life. They could be a result of just living in a racist world that we have to face. It could be family stress, work stress. All of these mean if you're experiencing one or more of these, maybe your mental hygiene needs a little help. You need to take care. Now, that's an extensive list, and I could list others, and you can probably think of other things that impact your mental well being. So, when we think about, man, my mental hygiene is not good, I'm not taking care of me, it simply means I'm not taking care of my mental health. So, what are we going to do to take care of your mental health? I have a list of a few things, 5 or 6 things I want to talk about, and they're not in order. As I said, I changed the show late this afternoon because my guest was ill, and I didn't want to cancel the show. I do believe the show must go on. I believe that there's always something to say. So they're not in any specific order. But these are some things I think you can do to practice and promote personal mental hygiene. You can share it with others so others can promote positive mental hygiene. And the first is use positive affirmations. Those are just positive statements you tell yourself. We can be bombarded by negativity. And just as a people, when we look at the racism aspect, if you watch television, you're on social media, you're on the internet, there are so many negative images of us as a people that not only can you personally take in negative issues, but you can have negative issues just because you're Black in America, just because you're African American. There are so many negative issues that bombard us. So we have to begin to bombard ourselves with positivity. Now, I am not simply saying that, oh, if you just say a positive, things are going to be better and your life will change. Well, in a sense, it will. It may not change the situation, but it changes the way you look at the situation, how you perceive it, how you take it in. Again, that African proverb, at the end of the day, you can focus on what's tearing you apart or you can focus on what's keeping you together. So when you're practicing the positive affirmations, that is simply telling yourself something good that is true. Sometimes we have to remind ourselves that, hey, you are all that. You are awesome. You are wonderful. You are great. And tell yourself. So as a matter of fact, right now, I want you to say it out loud. I want you to tell yourself, I am awesome. I am great. I am worthy of good things happening to me. Tell yourself the good stuff. You hear enough of the bad stuff. You can go to work. Those who are working, you go to work and it's not always peachy. Some people have wonderful jobs and it's great. Some people have awful jobs. And just going to work can make you feel bad about you. You don't have to. You don't have to let it take into you. What are you going to focus on? Focus on what's keeping you together. Remind yourself how wonderful you are. Remind yourself that here are two more. I am great and my potential is endless. Let me hear you say that to yourself. I am great and my potential is endless. I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. Tell yourself something positive daily. Daily. Remind yourself you're awesome. You're good. You're wonderful. You're great. Now, you may not even believe it sometimes, but you know what? If you say it long enough, it might stick. So even if you don't believe the positive, tell yourself Tell yourself something good. Remind yourself you're an overcomer. Remind yourself you're worthy of good mental health. You're worthy of good things happening to you, which sort of leads into the second one. It's an extension of that. Replace negative behavior um, and negative thoughts with positive ones. So, more than just saying the good things, change your behavior. First, you change your thoughts and then change your behavior. And you may feel like you have it all together, and you may. I mean, maybe it's someone else you know who needs a little help in this area. How do you change your behavior? Um, again, I'm going to relate it back to racism. We see and are bombarded with racist acts, racist thoughts. Rather than just focus on the negative, can you be a game changer? Can you be the one to say, I see it and I'm going to change it? So rather than your behavior being passive to just taking in the negative, can you change things? Now, changing things doesn't have to be anything fantastic. Can you change your corner of the world? That old expression, each one teach one, each one reach one. Can you reach one? Because if the one you reach reaches another, it will go on, and your one reach will be exponential. Change your negative behavior. Don't just see the negative, change it. Is there anything you're doing in your life that's negative? The negative behavior could simply be maybe your life is just out of order. I know for me right now, I just spoke with someone that said, okay, I'm going to pay someone to come and get me organized. And they said, well, what does it look like? What are you looking for? I don't know. I'm too unorganized and scattered right now to figure it out. Um, and that's a negative behavior. So negative behaviors can be anything. So for me, the negative behavior I need to replace is disorganization with organization. So negative could be anything that's holding you back from reaching your full potential. And that's impacting my mental well-being because I like things in order. I like things to be a certain way. And so when they're out of order, that's impacting my mental well-being too. Part of that, another aspect of negative behavior is you've got to believe you can do something. Not just change in this case, I want to be more organized. I got to believe I can do it. Otherwise, it'll stay like it is or maybe get worse. So I know that I can become more organized. I know that I will, whether I pay somebody or not. I know it's going to happen. When we believe that we can overcome a situation, we're more apt to think about it and think how to make it work. So when you begin to say, this is a behavior I have I don't like, I need to change it. I will change it. Back to the words, you're telling yourself the affirmation about it. When you begin to change what you say about it, you begin to change what you do. So that negative behavior, that negative thinking, it could be the thinking that I'm not good enough, the thinking that I'm not worthy of good things. When you begin to change that negative thought pattern, you can change the behavior. Change from thinking that you're not good enough to knowing that you are good enough. And then your behavior will change because you will respond to life like, oh, yeah, I'm good. And it's not a cocky sort of, I'm all that big headed. No, it's just the truth. God made you. You are awesome and wonderful. You are good. The third thing I want to address is making yourself a priority. I've talked about this before. When we are working on self-care, we talked about it, but you need to make yourself and your mental health a priority. So often we tend to think of mental health as less than physical health. It's not. It's part of our health, our well-being, our making ourselves well. So make your mental health a priority. How do you do that? If you want to have good mental health, um, you will do things that promote it. Let me back up and remind you of the airplane adage. If you're flying with someone with whom you're taking care of and the mask come down, you put the mask on your face first. Then you put it on theirs. I have often asked people, and why does it say that? Some people are like, no. Well, if you don't take care of you, how can you take care of them? If the air mask come down, and you're needing that oxygen to breathe and you get there secure and tight and you pass out, Now they have to take care of you and the person you're taking care of. And if that person has special needs, no one might not know their special needs. So now you've made an issue for yourself and for the other person. So, yes, take care of you so you can take care of others. So, when it comes to your mental health, make it a priority. When your mental health is out of whack and you need to address your mental hygiene, how good it is, if it's out of whack, you can't take care of anybody. Um, and we're going to do a show later this year just on celebrating caregivers. Caregivers, it's a hard time for you to take care of yourself. But as a caregiver, you have to. Because if you don't, you get burned out and it's harder to take care of the person you're taking care of. Some caregivers even become resentful over time, and we can think, oh, well, how can they? They're so horrible. But if you haven't practiced self care and made yourself a priority and your own mental well being a priority, it will be difficult to remain in that caregiver role. So make yourself, your mental health, a priority. So, what does that look like? That looks like maybe taking some downtime. Downtime might be just 30 minutes in a week that I'm going to turn off the world. I am going to just sit quiet. I'm going to do nothing. Or I'm going to find something to make me laugh. Find a comedian to listen to on YouTube so I can just laugh. The Bible says a merry heart does the soul good. Laughter is good medicine. So find yourself something to laugh about. Take some downtime. That impacts your mental health. Another way to make your mental health a priority is if you realize that your mental health is more challenging than it needs to be, get help. Yes, I promote therapy, not just because I'm a therapist, but I believe in it. I believe that our mental health should be a priority, just as much a priority as our physical health. We will go to the doctor quicker than we will go to someone who can help us with our mental health, be it a psychiatrist, psychologist, therapist. That's a little more difficult to go to, but it's just as important. Make your mental health a priority. Understand that it's real, be in tune to it. Just like you need to be in tune to your body and listen to what your body is saying, your mental well being talks to you the same in terms of, when you're feeling depressed, when you're not feeling well, what's going on in those areas of your life. So, yeah, make your mental health a priority. That means to focus on it. How am I feeling today emotionally? And it's a little harder. Like if you have a fever, you know it. You can take your temperature, you'll see that number. Oh, that's a problem. If you have a physical pain, it's there. It's our body's way of saying, hey, you need to work on this. Emotional pain is something we have blocked for so long that it's difficult. So be in touch with your mental well being as well. Another thing to promote good mental hygiene is move, move, move. Last week, we talked with John Williams, and he talked with us about the importance of movement for diabetics. But it's good for everyone, and he said that as well. If you move 150 minutes a week, you can have a positive impact on your A1C level. That's for diabetics. That's for any of us. We all have an A1C and we want to keep it at a certain level. Being active can lower your A1C. Being active and moving can improve your mental well being as well because it will release more endorphins in your brain at the time you're moving. Spoke with someone this week and they were saying, well, yeah, that's good. When I move, I feel good for about 3 hours, but then I'm down again. Well, maybe you need to move again. One of the things that Mr. Williams talked about was every hour you should get up and move 5 minutes. Vigorously move. He had us moving. We're pumping our arms up, we're pumping our arms out, pumping our arms to the side, to a Frankie Beverly song. They put on a song that lasts about 5 minutes and move. We might go for a walk, get out and move. Our weather, it's that time of year where being outside is some days good, some days not so good. But get outside and walk, breathe some fresh air. Let the sun hit your face. get that natural vitamin D. We talked about that. That speaks to your mental well-being because as you are producing more endorphins in your brain, you can indeed feel better. You can be more invigorated. So yes, that's another way you can do it. Move, move, and move. Let's look at the physical and spiritual aspects of our mental health. As I always say, physical, mental, spiritual are all intertwined and they go together. And we're going to look at how the ones we've mentioned so far are impacted. As I said, it's not in any real order. I put it together, didn't have time to put it in a specific order, but I think it's the order it needs to be in. Um, as I said, physical, mental, and spiritual well being go together. When we look at our mental hygiene, our spiritual hygiene, our physical hygiene, we need to impact it. So, if we're going to practice good mental hygiene, we've got to practice good physical and spiritual. Our physical well being, when we allow ourselves to, let's just say, not eat properly over time, then our body breaks down physically. And when it breaks down physically, we don't feel as well. And when we don't feel as well, we don't function as well mentally either. Junk in, junk out, the old computer saying from years back, beginning of computer era, applies to our bodies as well. When we think about our physical health, what we eat impacts our mental health. And there are some foods that, promote different brain health, promote different things. So again, what you put in your body impacts your mental health. If we want to have good mental hygiene, we've got to look at how we eat. We've got to look at what health issues do you have? What health issues can you take? What physical health issues can you take better care of? I talked about earlier, we talked about replacing positive behaviors with negative. So when we can change our negative physical health behaviors, that can impact our mental health. The better you feel physically, the better you can feel mentally. The better you take care of your physical health, the better your mental health will be. Think about your physical hygiene. Excuse me. Think about your physical hygiene. I'm just thinking just about the cleanliness aspect of it. I don't know about you, but for me, let's say you didn't take a bath for a week. For me, I would feel just horrible. And that would mess with my head to be dirty for a week. My son and I have watched the show Survivor. And one of the things we laugh and joke about is 30 days without taking a bath, a shower, putting soap all over your body. That is, and we just joke about how that must feel, but think about it. And when you don't do that, and think if you didn't brush your teeth for a month, you didn't take a bath for a month, wouldn't that impact how you felt mentally? Because you'd feel dirty, you'd smell, your teeth would feel horrible. They'd probably feel like fuzz on them. It's, all the yucky stuff that will grow on your teeth in a month. And if you felt like that, and you were just in your regular world, you weren't on any show trying to win $1 million, just in your regular world, and you didn't take care of your physical hygiene for a month, wouldn't that just feel bad physically? So just like taking care of your physical health is important, so it is to take care of that mental health, so that you are doing the positive things that we talked about. You're moving, you are purposing your mental health a priority. In order for your physical hygiene to be important, you have to do it. You take a bath, you brush your teeth, you eat food, you purpose to do those things. So just like you take the effort to do that, you have to take the effort to do what's right for your mental health. If it's sleeping, if it's getting therapy because your mental health, if it's moving more with a point of knowing I am doing this to make me feel physically and emotionally better, if it's making myself believe I'm worth it, you have to purpose to do it, just like you purpose to take care of your physical health. It doesn't happen by accident. Now, by the time you're an adult, getting up in the morning, brushing your teeth, washing your face, showering if you're a morning shower, or showering at night becomes a habit. We know how to do it. You do it without thinking. You can get up and brush your teeth and you put on makeup. You can even do that without waking up, really, because it's a habit. So just like our physical hygiene becomes a habit, so should our um, mental health hygiene. But I mentioned spiritual. Where does that fit in? Because if I say all three are intertwined, I've got to talk about that. Let's look at the spiritual aspect. Um, just like I say you should purpose to take care of your mental health and your emotional health, the same is true with your spiritual health. So, what is a good spiritual health? What is that? I'm going to address it first from a Christian point of view. If you're taking care of your spiritual well being, you're going to take time to be with God. You're going to take time to be silent and listen to the voice of God. You're going to read the Bible because that's God's word. That's how you get to know God. You are going to do it once again on purpose. It won't happen by happenstance. It won't just be there. You have to make time to sit down and be quiet. If it's your Bible, if it's a Quran, if it's a Torah, if it's whatever your spiritual book is, are you reading it? Does it have dust on the shelf? Do you access it on your phone, tablet, iPad? Do you access what is going to build you up spiritually? When you are built up spiritually, you're able to build yourself up emotionally. When your spirit is down, it's hard for you to be up emotionally. They're intertwined. One can impact the other. It's a two-way street. I've said before, when something happens in your emotional life, sometimes we can be angry with God. Why did you let this happen to me? That's a real thing. And anyone at any point can feel this way. I don't care how spiritual you are. You may get caught in the moment where you're feeling, why did this happen to me? I'm not a bad person. It shouldn't happen. But it does, and it can. And in that moment, your mental well-being is you're not mentally in a good space, and you might not want to practice good mental health, mental hygiene by taking care of yourself because your spirit is so weak. Or when your mental health and your mental hygiene is so out of whack, it can impact you spiritually. As I said, God, why is this me? So when we look at our physical, mental, and spiritual well being, our hygiene in each of these areas, they have to be taken care of, and they totally impact one impacts the other. Um, in America, healthcare should be something that we can all afford, but it's not when it comes to physical health and even our mental health. So it's easy for me now that I have insurance to say, you should go to the doctor, you should take care of your physical health, you should take care of your mental health. That's not always the case for everybody. As an adult, I've been insured and uninsured. For years, I was uninsured because I felt like I didn't need it. You get a little older and you realize, oh, yeah, you need some insurance. So I actually took a part-time job just to get insurance. Everybody didn't have that luxury. Wherever you're living, if you live in a metropolitan area, there is generally a county health system or a city health system. Access it. Take time to say, I need to take care of my physical health. I need to take care of my mental health. And I'm going to do what I can if it's outside help you need. We can't do everything within ourselves. No, you may need some outside help. You may need a doctor. You may need a therapist. You may need someone to help you with whatever's going on. We can't figure out for ourselves what's going on, what's breaking down in our body. So, yes, be able to figure out how to manage your physical health and your mental health and your spiritual health. With your spiritual health, are you a part of a body, a church, a synagogue, a mosque? Are you a part of a body of believers who believe like you, who can promote that well-being, who can practice that spiritual hygiene. That's something you can't do by yourself. Find that group to connect. Being in communion with people, being together can promote that good spiritual health, and it can promote good mental health. How so? One, again, that positive. If you're interacting in a with a body of believers, you are going to generate positive mental energy. As you're putting out that positive mental energy, you will find that you're going to take it in and you're going to put more out. It becomes reciprocal. And when you're unable to generate positive energy, when you're around people with positive energy, you can take it in. So, managing your spiritual health with a spiritual community can help that mental health. When you think about just being able to help and give, helps you mentally. So when you're not just alone, not in isolation, it will allow you to interact with others and be around others and take in that positivity. Now that I talked about what we need to take in. Now I want to take a different approach. There's one other thing I want to mention. Sometimes we need to avoid things in order to manage our mental well-being. We can watch the news, watch television in general, be on social media and see so much negativity. When we think about the racism that we face as a people, we can be bombarded by it. We can listen to the news and hear stories where our history is, there are attempts to erase us from American history and erase the truth of American history. No one's history is all good. So if we take away the bad, we're taking away part of the truth. When we want to ignore the fact that slavery was a real deal, that our ancestors were enslaved. That's part of history. When we want to ignore what happened during the 50s and 60s during the civil rights era, that's history. It's real. It's part. And what happened then, we're the beneficiaries now, so we can't ignore it. But we have so many places that want to do it. So when you're, taking in the news, for instance, that can impact you negatively. When the video of Tyree Nichols being killed by the policeman, beaten, came out, I heard some people say, "Oh, I just don't want to watch it." And you know what? I recommend that some people don't. I'm a very visual person, so if I watch something, that that image is going to be with me. I have not seen that. I don't have to see it to know it's horrible. I don't have to listen to every news story because every news story may upset me. Do you have to take in things that are going to really have a negative impact on you emotionally? Do we need to know what's going on? Yes, we do. We need to be aware of things that are going on in our world. We don't need to put our head in the sand. I am not saying that at all. I'm saying be judicious about how you take it in. Think about when you take it in. Some people don't watch the news at night because they don't want that. I don't need those images in my head or that message in my head before I go to bed. Some people don't want to watch the news in the morning because they'll say, I'm not starting my day with all that foolishness. I can't start my day with that negativity. So figure out when you need to have this knowledge, because we do need to do it. Figure out what's the best way for you. Maybe I need to read as opposed to watch the news, and look at reputable sources. Maybe I just need to listen. I'll listen to things like Urban Talk Radio and get that perspective. I'll listen to NPR. So, you choose what you want to listen to. Choose how you take it in, but avoid allowing yourself to be bombarded when it comes to the point where it is negatively impacting you. You don't have to allow it to negatively impact you. Allow yourself to be aware, because I totally believe in being socially involved and taking social action. I believe that we should all find one area that we want to focus on. But rehearsing all the negativity by reading it too much, listening too much or watching too much can paralyze us. We can be totally paralyzed, and then you're unable to do any good. So, part of practicing good mental hygiene is saying, what do I need to avoid? So, it's okay to sometimes avoid. Those are just a few thoughts on managing your mental hygiene, taking care of yourself. And I want to repeat that African proverb that I stated in the beginning. At the end of the day, you can focus on what's tearing you apart, or you can focus on what's keeping you together. We can all have little things or big things that are tearing us apart. Where is our focus? When we focus on what's keeping us together, we can better manage what's tearing us apart. At the end of each show, I like to have a call to action. That's something we do and are challenged to do based on what we talked about. So, my call to action to you, number one, is to focus on your mental health, focus on your mental hygiene. Allow yourself to take care of you. You're the only you have. Take care of you. Be creative about the way you take care of you and make your priority. Number two, make your mental health a priority. Just like you brush your teeth every day, hopefully, shower and clean your body regularly, daily, do the same for your mental health. Do the things that you're going to need to do for your mental health. And for each of us, it's different. But do what it takes to make yourself mentally healthy. And lastly, as always, be an educated voter. This totally impacts our mental health. It impacts the laws that are in place that may or may not even put money into mental health. The laws that are in place that promote racist ideas, which definitely impact us physically, mentally, and spiritually. So be an educated voter. That's not just about being aware of when there's an election cycle. It's about how is your congressperson, your city council person, how are they voting? How is your governor? What is your governor doing? What is the president doing? So everywhere from the president down to your city council person to the school board members, how are they voting? How is that voting impacting your community? What do you need to do? So be that educated voter so that you will know what to do and when it's time to vote. Well, I am Bronwyn Lucas with Able Counseling and Consulting. I'm here to help you become a better you. If you're in need of therapy, in need of talking to someone, reach out. Now, I may not be the therapist for you. I'm not the therapist for everybody. There's a different, there are hundreds of therapists. Find who's right for you. And if it's not me, I will help you find who's right for you. Reach out to me. I can help you find someone for you. My number is 682 272 3949. Once again, I'm Bronwyn Lucas, the Caring Counselor, here to help you become a better you. See you next week.